welcome to our video. So today I'm going to teach you about pollination and all the different insects and animals that can pollinate all these amazing flowers and plants. So come on along and I'll show you the amazing insects that we have here at the Arboretum.
What is pollination? Pollination is the act of transferring pollen grains from a male antennae to a female stigma. Flowers are the tool that plants use to attract insects and other animals to help them seed for the next generation of plants. The seed can only be produced when pollen is spread between flowers of the same species. Pollen can also be spread by wind or water. 1 out of 3 bites of food we eat is thanks to pollination. Flowers can come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, and that attracts different kinds of insects and different kinds of animals. So we're going to go through some of the most important ones. Let's start with the bee and wasp. These two are the most well known for being pollinators. Bees are like a big family. They care for each other and contact well in and out of the hive. When one is born, the bee feeds them royal jelly, and they stick together and help each other out. The bees have a hollow tongue that they keep tucked under their body to feed new young. They collect pollen by sticking it on their legs for the journey back home. When they find a patch of flowers, they show the whole hive where it is by doing a little bee dance. Each bee will visit approximately 3,000 flowers per day. This means that they pollinate a lot of flowers. That means that trees and plants can grow fruit or seed, which is what humans depend on. This is very important because bees have now been classified as the most important species on Earth. This is important because bees are also on the endangered species list. Honeybees are not really native. Like many animals, they need sleep. You can tell that they're dreaming by the little movement of their antennae. With the antennae, the bees can smell flowers 3 kilometers away. They can fly as far as they have nectar energy. Different bee species live in different areas. Some burrow, make hives, live in plant stems, or cut leaves. The burrowing ones find holes in the ground and make their hives in there, so I would be careful where you step. Hives that you can actually see, those are pretty easy, but just make sure to stay away from them. And the last two are some other ways that bee species have lived in history. Now we're moving on to flies. Flies pollinate flowers that are often pale and dark to dark brown or purple. Nectar guides are not present on these flowers, which are lines indicating where the nectar is. Some flies masquerade as bees or wasps. To tell them apart, flies have 1 pair of wings, while bees have 2. They have been found that they are primary pollinators for both wild and cultivated plants. If you love chocolate, then you will love flies. Flies are an essential insect for pollinating flowers of the cocoa tree. I would say flies are pretty interesting. In some of these videos, you can see them walking around, sticking their little nose inside the flowers, which is actually pretty cool, especially to see them macro. Flowers that attract flies, one of them is the nausea-inducing corpse flower, which smells like rotting flesh, which attracts the flies. Our next pollinator is beetles. Of the world's 35,000 flowering plants, it is thought that beetles are responsible for 90% of them. However, they tend to eat through the flowers and leave droppings. This is where they got their name, the mess and soil pollinators. Those plants that depend on beetle pollination are called cantharifolous plants. These give off a spicy or fragrant scent that attract beetles. Often beetles are found on a bowl-shaped flower that are white or green. Beetles are believed to be among the first insect to visit flowers. Nowadays, they tend to prefer to go to close descendants of ancient flowers. Fossil records show that beetles are abundant in the Mesozoic era, which was 200 million years ago. Beetles were flower visitors of the earliest angiosperms. Beetles rely on the sense of smell for feeding and finding a place to lay their eggs, scents associated with spicy, sweet, or fragrant. The next one is butterflies. Butterflies actually do not pollinate flowers. They are not as effective as other insects. The main reason for that is that they have limited contact with the pollen that's in the flower, and therefore do not transfer large amounts of pollen from flower to flower. But they are very beautiful in any pollinator garden. Our last section to this video is other species. There are many other species of animals and insects that often help with pollination. Birds are very important for pollination of wildflowers. There are 2,000 bird species globally that feed on nectar, insects, and spiders. Dragonflies and spiders are not really a pollinator, but they help keep the flowers and fruit of the plant safe for insects that intend to harm the plant. Fun fact, the plant can even communicate with spiders by sending out a unique scent, which is kind of interesting. Most pollinators are beneficial insects such as flies, beetles, wasps, ants, butterflies, moths, and bees, but there are others such as birds, bats, and small mammals. How can I help? The first step is to reduce your impact. Reduce or eliminate your use of pesticide and increase green spaces, as well as minimize urbanization. At home, you can plant your own gardens. So making a pollinator garden, like native plants, things that have flowers, and just have it there for them to use. You can also tell a friend. Educate your neighbors, schools, community groups about the importance of pollinators. There are also multiple different groups that you can join to help you develop your pollinator gardens and instincts. You can join pollinator.org, which is a great place to find more information about pollinators. You can also join Ontario Nature, which has a bee pollinator community thing for schools and just towns in general. You can be a bee city. That's pretty cool. Guelph is a bee city, but if you don't live in Guelph, there are ways that you can initiate a bee city in your area.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the end of our video. I hope you liked learning about pollination and what it can do for the earth. So as we know, pollination is very important and we all need it in our lives. So I hope you guys learned a lot and I'll see you in our next video. Bye!